Hey, and welcome back to the channel. Today we are continuing our study of the genius guitar player Josh Smith by breaking down the third chorus in one of the shuffle solos he posted over on his channel. Hey, this is your fair warning that the video you're about to watch is a later part of a series. What we do in this series is we're analyzing a big, long, unfiltered solo that Josh played over on his channel over a shuffle groove in the key of B flat. And if you want to know why that's important, why that's the vein of gold that we're mining, you need to go to the first video and start there where I explain it all. All right, as we always do, let's take a listen to Josh play this chorus. All right, let me play it once more at a lower tempo. All right, so let's get into it and figure out what Josh is playing exactly and how he may be thinking. So here's the first little run, how he starts the chorus over the B flat 7 chord. Right, it's basically filling in all the space in the B flat major pentatonic scale with chromatics. So he starts on this F, the 5th, hits the 6th, and then hits the flat 7, back to the 6, and then he starts filling it in by playing this G flat to get to back to the F. And from there, he's really just playing, if your B flat pentatonic looks like, he fills that all in. All right, and then we're still over the B flat 7 here. He plays this thing. So starting on the D here, and then he's going to hit the F. So the 3rd and the 5th of the B flat 7, and then he's going to hit this G, and this is where he essentially plays up one note in the B flat major scale, and then comes down. Up one note, down one, up one. Every time he advances to a previously unreached note, he goes back to the one that preceded it. Until he gets to this little part where he slides into the 3rd, which is a D, and he plays this. So the way that I think about this, this first part, he's just playing this much more familiar to the ear major pentatonic line. But once he hits this chromatic note, he is hitting the D again. And then walks down the B flat major arpeggio. And the 4 chords coming around. So once he lands on this 5th, the F, gonna walk chromatically down to the 4th, E flat. And once he hits that, he stabs the chord. I think he actually stabs a B flat 7 still there, even though, rhythmically at that point, the 4 chord would have rolled around. But then he plays this, which are all just diminished triads. And I think he's doing something very interesting here. So if you've got an E7, you can build a diminished triad on the 3rd, the 5th, or the flat 7, and it's going to sound good. And I won't go into the theory behind that, but just know that there's a lot of shared tones between the chords. He's starting this where his highest note here is a D flat. which is going to be the 7th of the E flat that we're playing. And if you know anything about diminished chords, you know that we can move them around in minor thirds, which is what he does. These are the first 2 hits he does. All right, so that explains that. But what about this? Which is what he does next, right? So I think what he's doing is implying a substitution that we commonly hear over the 4 that goes, right? That moves up a half step. So I think when he's going, he's thinking, that's speculation on my part, but musically it would make sense. All right, and then he plays this little line. So what's going on there? Well, this right here is outlining a C minor 7, right? So you've got the 6th fret on the E string, which is a B flat, to the 3rd fret on the E string, which is a G, to the 4th fret on the B string, which is an E flat, to the 5th fret on the G string, which is a C. So our notes there are C, E flat, G, B flat, C minor 7. And then this little sequence, we're getting a lot of tones from a G minor 7 there. So we've got this F, which is the minor 7, flat 7. And then we kind of get those E flat and C's back, so that's still going to be a C minor sound. But then we get D, B flat, G, F. All of those are chord tones in a G minor. But when we're landing on the F, that's more because the 5 chord in the key of B flat has rolled around. And so what I think Josh is doing here is playing this over the 1 to get to the 5. And he's doing it in a way that is utilizing some harmonic motion that is not typical of the blues, but is still pretty cool and sounds good. And obviously he pulls it off. But by playing, what he's essentially accomplishing is playing pretty cool. It's like playing the minor 5 of the F, so C minor 7, and then the minor 2 to the 1. And that's thinking of the 5 as the 1, because that's where we're trying to get to, if that makes sense. So if we were to kind of comp that sound, this is what would emerge. You know, it doesn't not work. So that's a really cool little trick. I think that from this entire chorus, that is the most interesting little phrase that was played because it's digging into unconventional harmonic idea to get to the 5 chord. If you see that harmonic choice as something different than the way that I've explained it here, go ahead and let me know in the comments. All right, and now the 5 chord has rolled around, and he plays. So we're sort of getting this C minor line, E flat minor line, up to the G, up to the A, B flat, C, and then a fully chromatic walk up, and then he sort of, this is the flat 5 of a B flat 7, then he sort of jumps in back into the B flat major pentatonic by grabbing the 6th right here, And your hands are sort of in familiar position now for the key of B flat, right? With your first finger over the 6th fret. So and from here, he just walks down a B flat major triad and lands on the 5th to imply the 5 chord to turn the chorus back over. So this entire part I think that Josh is thinking largely in terms of chromatics, which is sort of the theme for this chorus that he set out with at the very beginning, etc. I also, when he plays this, I'm put in the mind of some interviews he's done where he talks about one of his idols, Danny Gatton, and he specifically calls out a lot that he likes the sense of humor that Danny can bring to his playing. To me, I see this as kind of a funny little cartoonish tag that sort of, it feels out of place, but it's kind of funny. It's musical. I sort of interpret it as Josh's humor coming out in his playing just for a second right there. As always, all of this analysis is subjective and probably incomplete on some level. That said, I hope this was helpful for you. I hope you can find one thing from every video to add to your playing, to add to your bag. If it is helpful, please do give the video a like. Please do give this channel a subscription so you can continue to get lessons about playing the blues, usually about trying to play a more advanced style over a 12-bar blues. Josh is a perfect example of the kind of guy that we're going to idolize for that sort of thing. All right, until next time, thank you very much.